Wherever you are in the world, good day, good people, good day, and welcome to Wow, Wish Only Well live television show where I am your host, SherVonne Grose, marriage and family therapist, inspirational coach, and motivational speaker. Listen, guys, it's Wednesday, and it is a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday indeed. You know what we do on Wednesdays? We wow. And by wow, I mean to wish only well all across the world. Yes, I need you to help me wow all across the world. Listen, I have a special guest that's in the studio with me today, and I am super excited to have him with me again. We were able to do the radio show interview a couple of months back, and we had hoped, we had tried to do the TV show back in September, but we had some technical issues. But listen, this is the appointed time that my special guest is supposed to be here. And so I'm so excited. So, you know how we do, though, guys. We have to do justice by properly introducing him. So, let me introduce you to our guest that will be coming on tonight, and we will be having conversation. But I also want to welcome you. First-time viewers, returning viewers to the Wild Wish Only Well TV show. So happy to have you here with us. And so if you're viewing this by social media, we ask that you like it and you share it so that other people can know about the Wild Wish Only Well and to hear the story of this special guest that's in the studio with me. So listen, without further ado, let me go ahead on and tell you who he is. He is none other than Mr. Daniel Schaffer. Daniel Schaffer was born in Zanesville, Ohio. He began his radio career in Cambridge, Ohio in 1967 as the morning show host of WILE Radio. Upon his honorable discharge from the U.S. Navy as a journalist, third class petty officer, he resumed his radio career. Daniel moved to Phoenix, Arizona, where he hosted the morning program on KNIX AM for Buck Owens Broadcasting. While hosting his radio show at KNIX, he was in high demand for commercial projects, both radio and television, for dozens of clients in Phoenix, Flagstaff, and Yuma. At that time, Daniel became a member of the Screen Actors Guild and AFTRA. Continuing to work for Buck Owens Broadcasting, he moved to Bakersfield, California, as the morning host on the Buck Owens country music flagship station, KUZZ. In May of 1999, Daniel created the morning program on Christian music radio station 88.3, The Life FM. Since that time, he has been a vital part of the Life FM team, currently hosting the event program A Lights in the Nights. I absolutely love that. Daniel also worked as an actor in Los Angeles, guest starring on TV shows. Get this, guys. Guest starring on TV shows Hotel, Growing Pains, The Practice, and was a regular performer on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. Daniel also had featured roles on General Hospital for all you daytime soap opera watchers back in the day and Port Charles. He was also known by many people as the Pizza Hut monk in a commercial for Pizza Hut. So listen, guys, without further ado, let's welcome tonight's guest, Mr. Daniel Schaffer.
Hi, SherVonne. Thank you. Glad to be here. I appreciate the intro.
Yes, Mr. Dan, you are such an interesting fellow. You have done quite a bit. You've served our country. Woo, you've been real busy, and then you've been working in both TV and radio, and you've got lots of experience. And as I understand it, you're still working in radio. So you're still going and doing and doing and doing. So let's just get into conversation about your life, first of all, because it is so interesting.
You know, I've thought about retirement, but yeah, you just get bored. But then again, there's always something else. My wife retired several years ago, and she's busier now than she was when she taught for 40 years, doing other stuff. And we've been able to work together for the past year and a half or so on a World War II Veterans Memorial here in Bakersfield, California, for, just to honor all of those from Kern County who served in World War II and helped save the world, is what it boils down to there.
Wow, wow. How interested in that. And listen, speaking of that, since you also served, I believe I got something that I want to share with the guest here. Let me see, can I find it? I think I got something that you sent to me. Can you guess what it is? Do you remember?
Oh yeah. That guy with all that hair.
Yes. I believe this might be him right here. Is
That's
that
it.
him?
That's the guy.
So this is you back in the day when you were serving, right?
Right. That was taken in about the summer of 1969 on board the USS Howard W. Gilmore, submarine
Wow.
tender.
Yeah. And so you did radio. Is that where your career started, or you were already doing it before you actually went into the military?
That's right. Yes. I wanted to be a journalist so I could do Armed Forces radio, but I never did Armed Forces radio. I helped put out all the news releases from our ship to the Fleet Hometown News Center in Great Lakes, Illinois, and then they would disseminate that information out to various newspapers and whatever, other ways of communicating. Nowadays, they do recordings. We didn't do this back in the olden days. They do recordings for holiday greetings that they send out to local radio stations. But at least we didn't do that on our ship. They may have been doing it during the Vietnam War, but we didn't have that facility or that capability on board my ship at the time.
Yeah, I see. So I have one more something that I would like to show, because I need for you to tell us about this very special young woman here that we will see in the picture. And she has a very unique title. And so I'm going to show this. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about this special young lady here.
That's my mother. Her name was Marion Schaffer. And she passed away of complications of dementia several years ago. And that was taken at a special event held by the Alzheimer's Disease Association of Kern County. They called it the Senior Prom. And back in the back there, you see the sign that says "The Heart Never Forgets."
Yes, yes.
And that was such a neat night.
Yeah.
She was having so much fun listening to the music. And when I was growing up, my mother and father used to get out their Glenn Miller albums and Count Basie albums and all those great big bands albums. And they would turn those on, turn it up, and dance around in the house. And I asked the DJ playing that night if he had any Glenn Miller music. And he did. And so I danced with her. And that was her first time of dancing to some Glenn Miller music in a long, long time.
Wow.
It was just a neat evening. And you see, I got to be the prom king.
Yes, I was going to ask about the gentleman who was escorting her in this picture.
Yeah, she was named prom queen, and because I was her date, I got to be the king that night.
Oh, how awesome is that? And I bet for sure you were definitely the king on that night. Just awesome that you were able to do that and make that night extra special for her, I'm sure.
It was special for me too.
Yes, the memory, the heart never forgets, right? The heart never forgets. It will always be right there. Awesome. And so I was reading too. You had, and we're going to get into talking about a book that you've written. So I wanted to try to get the conversation started, but just to give a little bit of background on it. You did a blog back, and this was volume 1 of the blog back August the 5th of 2022 is the date that it has on here. Right. And so I find it interesting. Your father, he passed away in 1974. And you described your religion kind of at that time, but in your heart, you knew exactly where your father was or is, right? And you call it, you used the situation to be synonymous to the prodigal son, correct?
Pretty much so, yeah. I remember one time when I finally came back home to Christ, reading the story of the prodigal son and thinking, So that's what that's all about. You know, it hit me in a whole new way.
Yeah, 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 that's funny. But I was reading that, but I wanted to just point that out, but not so much as because it was after you returned, right? I mentioned,
Mhm.
your father passing away in 1974, but it was after you returned home in 1974 that you had this very vivid dream. Uh, can you talk with me and the viewers about this very vivid dream that you had?
It was a situation. I was working in Kokomo, Indiana at the time,
Mhm.
and I had just left the radio station and was sitting at an intersection waiting for the light to change, which, you spend 90% of your life waiting for traffic lights.
Right.
At least it seems that way. And I was sitting there in this dream waiting for the light to change when all of a sudden I left the car. And I remember I had my arms down at my side, but I was looking upward as I was flying upward in body, not in spirit. I
Mhm.
was in body. And I was thinking, what in the world is this? And as I looked up ahead of me, I could see a whole bunch of sheep, and their little tails are going back and forth like this
Mhm.
in rhythm with each other. And I was thinking, what in the world is going on here? And very shortly, I passed from daylight into darkness as you went into outer space.
Mhm.
And I looked ahead of me, and coming right toward us was this big wedge shaped, massive, massive group of people, all dressed in white. And right at the point, the number one pin, if you will, if you use a bowling analogy, there was Jesus. And I remember looking at him and thinking, I wanted to go right toward him, and he told me, get in line,
Yeah.
basically. So I described this dream to someone, a week or two later, because dreams, I never remember dreams anymore if
Right.
I have them.
Yeah.
But back then, this one stuck in my head, and I just couldn't get it out of my mind. I didn't know what it was all about. And I shared it with a friend of mine who was a little deeper into the word than I had been in recent years at that time. And she just smiled real big and she says, praise God, you had a dream about the rapture. I said, the what? She said, the rapture. And then she explained to me what that was, back in Thessalonians when
Mhm.
Paul described, being caught up. The word comes from the Greek, I think it is the Greek or Latin of raptura, or
Mhm.
the snatching away.
Mhm.
And there are people who don't believe that means that, yes, all the Christians are going to be pulled out of the world just before Jesus comes back, or at the time he comes back. There's all these debates back and forth, which we don't really need to have the debates on that. So, and you don't have to believe in the rapture to be a Christian,
Right.
but you do have to be a Christian to, if there is that rapture,
Mhm.
to be drawn up, because
Mhm.
it's Hal Lindsey and the late great Planet Earth pointed out that it's
Mhm.
the God is pulling the Holy Spirit out of the world, and those of us who are believers believe that we have the indwelling of the Holy Spirit within us, and in order to get to clear the way, this is my thinking here. I
Mhm.
believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. In order for that to happen, you got to get the Holy Spirit out of the way, because if Bible believing Christians were still around when the Antichrist really starts to come to power and pile on, there'd be a lot of people saying, wait, here, let me point out in the Bible where that's, see here. And he can't have that if he's going to be successful at it.
Mhm. Mhm. And so from that, and this is that where it all started with what we call the Andromeda Connection.
That's pretty much, that's a result of it. Here's the book available on
Yes.
Amazon.com.
Put it out.
And I've just just had a new design on the
You did,
book
yeah.
cover. The old one I designed myself, but I got a prettier one. And the book is the same inside. And so if you have the old book,
I have the one that you with your work on there.
yeah, okay. It's still the
Yes.
same book inside.
Yes. Okay.
And I just got to thinking of a bunch of what ifs as I've been following news reports in the past year or two of all these UFO sightings and confirmations from military pilots and airline pilots. They, for years it was quashed that they had seen UFOs, and now it's being touted as, that really might have happened. Although lately the government said, really, most of them weren't really extraterrestrial sightings. They were, maybe spy drones from secret aircraft from other nations, and some of our secret aircraft that have been flying around in tests, et cetera, et cetera. So, who knows what they really are. But I got to thinking, what if, the devil and future Antichrist has planned that, here's how we're going to explain away when all the people come up missing.
How they missing?
They were abducted by aliens. So I was thinking the Andromeda galaxy is the closest galaxy to our Milky Way galaxy. So, yeah, let's put them way out there. And we've never seen any real planets up close out there that could or maybe would support life forms of some kind. And so as the Antichrist comes to power, he really latches onto this whole thing of the Andromedans taking people out of this world to explain where all these people went. And that was, so then I started riffing basically as I would write, hey, if that happened, maybe this could happen. And that's how the story just kept falling into place.
Start unfolding. Yes, absolutely. So how long did it take you to write it? Because it is, as I was discussing with you, it's very thick. Look, it's really, it's very detailed and in depth. There's, and this small writing like on there. So it's not like this, you know what I mean? So you put some really, and I'm pointing this out because you put some real thought and work behind this. And that's just not anything you just put out there. It had to take some time, and there was a lot of creativity behind having to do it because, like you said, you were thinking one thing, what if, and then you went to something else, and then the story just kept developing, and it just kept developing. So as you hold it up again, because it's a really good sized book. Yes, that's it right there. So how long did it take? Yeah. How many pages is it, Mr. Dan? Over
the book itself is 500 and it's here. I'll get to it. 540, I believe, right around there. But it is, people I've spoken with who have read it. The comments they made was, I had trouble putting this thing down because they followed the. There's some intrigue in here. The characters who are listed in here as the Andromedans. You soon start to figure out that they're really demonic entities. It's kind of like along the lines of Frank Peretti's, I just went blank on the name of the book, This Present Danger, I believe was the name of it, which was a really good book, but his entities in that were definite demons. And so these characters that are called Andromedans from the Andromeda galaxy are really demonic entities. And the head, the ambassador from Andromeda is actually he's kind of like the chief demon among these guys. Not necessarily Satan himself, but maybe could be. it depends on your interpretation of it.
And I like it because you kind of leave that out there for people to have their own, because as you indicated, you have some people who believe in the rapture, some not so much, and kind of some people who also believe in UFOs, and some people who don't, not so much, you know what I mean? So, to pull that together, and that's what I mean in terms of the creativity, is being able to pull that together to still come up with a story that's very suspenseful. You want to keep reading, continuing to read to get to the next, so you can figure out what actually happens in this. And of course, it would be that the characters would be demonic in nature, because it's like you said, it's the Satan's way of, and the Antichrist coming together to come up with this story of how they are explaining away where these people went, where everybody went, right? And just not let it be the rapture as it is described in the Bible, right? So
Right.
yes, I absolutely love that. Yeah. And so go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Dane.
I was just going to say the main character is a journalist, a TV investigative reporter named Robert Wallace, who he's one of the people who is, for lack of a better term, left behind. My little homage to Tim LaHaye and Jerry Jenkins there. And he is trying to figure out, okay, wait a minute, what happened to all these people? Where did they go? And he's sitting in the makeup chair getting ready to go in for a news report in the first few days after the mass disappearance. And he is talking with the makeup guy about what's going on. And they kind of kick into this thing about, well, yeah, I had my cousin was a guy who was kind of a religious fanatic, and he was telling me all the time that there's going to be a rapture where all the Christians will be taken away and blah, 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 blah. Hey, have you checked in so-and-so's desk? The chief writer, remember him? He was always talking about church and stuff. And so Wallace goes to this guy's desk and finds a Bible. And in the Bible, there's a note from the guy to whom it belonged, saying basically, to whoever finds my Bible, I want you to know what happened to us, the millions of people. I must have been missing from work for a while. I want you to know what happened. And then he goes on to explain the rapture and the coming of the Antichrist, and gives some scriptures for Wallace to look up, or whoever would find the Bible. So he starts digging and starts to believe himself. And there's a lot of chasing around the country, from Europe all the way to California. It covers a lot of geography. I did a lot of Google searches.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, so awesome. Listen, so look, I have to actually, because I was just I was thinking about, I have to admit that I actually lost my train of thought there for a second, but I was actually thinking about, as you were describing this, right? About this, have you ever talked to someone about actually making this into a movie, putting this on a screen?
I haven't really. I've had a couple of people say, hey, this would make a good movie.
Yes.
But I wouldn't want it done in a cheap way.
Yeah, no.
Got to have some good special effects in this one.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Sounds like a good Hollywood type movie.
I used to write screenplays now and then that I wanted to star in. they never went any place, but it was something that, as an actor, I used to think, what if I could star as? And I was always, of course, the handsome leading man.
Of course, we go.
Which is typecasting.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So listen, so tell the viewers again where they can get your book again. Put it out there.
As of right now, and we're going to do a book relaunch coming up just because of the new cover.
Oh, yay. Awesome.
And it's available in Kindle. If you have Kindle Unlimited, where you can read as many books as you want to without buying them, it's available through Kindle, ebooks, or the Unlimited. And it's also available in paperback through Amazon.com. And I'm in the process right now of building a website that I'll be able to sell them through the website as well.
Yeah.
And we've got a local bookstore here in Bakersfield, California that carries them as well.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. That is just awesome. And I never did give you the opportunity to answer, but I don't know if you wanted to or not. But I mentioned it took you quite some time to kind of pull this all together.
About 3 years, yeah. I would sit in my lazy boy chair with a lap desktop, and I would type on my laptop computer. And I was a caregiver with my mother at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we would, she and I would get talking, and if we would, break in conversation, or if we'd get up to eat or whatever, I'd sit back down and reread what I had just written to kind of get back into the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has a lot to do with why it took 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, a couple of times I hit the wall. What writers talk about, they say they get writer's block, and that's a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
You kind of forget. That's why I've got 4 other books in my head and partially written. I kind of hit the wall on this one. Okay, let me work on this one.
Yay. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So I was about to ask as we wrap up, is there going to be a part 2 to this book or?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I hope to be able to get this one out by early summer. It's a kind of another look at the events of the rapture at the time they happen, with some people who are, again, left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And they are, that term isn't, left behind isn't copyrighted as a pair of words, is it? I hope not. But if so, I give once again credit to Tim LaHaye and Jerry B. Jenkins.
Okay.
But my book, by the way, is nothing like theirs in the sense of, the storyline is not the same, except for the fact of what happens by those who were not taken
Mm-hmm.
in the initial rapture. Are they lost forever?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe so. I believe that they will be able to become followers of Christ. They'll face great dangers because of their beliefs, and they will be heavily persecuted. But that takes place nowadays in a lot of countries where Christians are, jailed and tortured for their belief, just as they were in the first century church.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But I've heard some people, Voice of the Martyrs talks about how they are nowadays maybe even more so than the original first century church members were.
Mm-hmm.
So, that, and my book, by the way, is not meant to be a study guide of any kind. It is fiction. Right. It is totally fiction.
Right.
With what could potentially happen, the what ifs, to say.
Yes, I absolutely love it. Mr. Dan, I'm so excited that you were able to take time out of your schedule to come and be here with me today and to wow the viewers of the Wish Only Well Live TV show. It's been a pleasure to have you here. So thank you again for coming. And any last words? We have about a minute left. Do you have anything else that you want to share? Maybe how the viewers can get in contact with you? I know you said your website is coming, but do you have any social media handles or anything of that nature?
As of now, no, I don't. I have, again, I'm working on all these things. There's so many things I'm still learning in the promotion side, and being able to, I want to get my future website already has its title. It's just not up and running yet. It's still in construction. But it's Daniel Schaffer Christian Books. Okay, great. And I did that, Christian Books, because there's another Daniel Schaffer out there who does adult themed graphic comics. And he's got the same spelling as my name, SCHAFFER. So I thought, well, I got to separate myself from his stuff.
That's right. You got to stand out. That's right.
It's available on Amazon.com. The Andromeda Connection. Or if you do word searches, there are keywords in there like after the rapture, things like that. and you'll find, it pops up along with several big name authors that are in there. In fact, the Left Behind books will pop up on the page of all the book titles that it finds. But if you just look it up, the Andromeda Connection, the Missing, the Andromeda Connection by Daniel Schaffer, and you'll go right to it that way.
Okay, sounds good. So you've heard it right here on the Why Wish Only Well TV show with SherVonne Grose and Daniel Schaffer. So listen, the Missing, the Andromeda Connection, the Andromeda. So go and get the book. Go and get the book and support Mr. Dan Schaffer. Thank you so much, guys. Listen, enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are in the world. And don't forget to wow. And by wow, we mean to wish only well all across the world. Good night.
Thank you, SherVonne. God bless you.
Thank you. Same to you. God bless you too, Mr. Dan.